In the depths of a Siberian winter, a single miscalculation could be fatal. For much of human history, running out of firewood wasn't just inconvenient, it was deadly. The hearth was the only shield against relentless cold, and every log was hard-won currency for survival. Before modern heating, even indoors, the world was a much colder place. Open fireplaces, while comforting, were shockingly inefficient. Up to 90% of their heat vanished up the chimney. This forced families into a desperate cycle, endless work for fleeting warmth. So our ancestors became masters of conservation, focusing on holding on to heat rather than just making more. Their survival depended on cleverness, capturing and retaining every bit of warmth. This shift from heat generation to heat retention was a quiet revolution in human ingenuity. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore the remarkable innovations that let entire communities thrive in the coldest places on Earth. These are not just historical curiosities. They're profound lessons in sustainability and resourcefulness. The first line of defense against the cold wasn't the fire. It was the home itself. Ancient builders used thick walls of stone, earth or logs, turning their homes into thermal batteries. These walls absorbed heat during the day or when the fire was burning, then radiated it back at night. The result? Gentle, stable warmth that lasted long after the fire died. Placement mattered too. Homes were often built on south-facing slopes for maximum sunlight or into hillsides for natural insulation. Every decision, from materials to orientation, was part of a strategy to keep warmth in and cold out. Unlike today's reliance on furnaces, the ancients built strong defences against heat loss. Their homes were engineered systems, working with nature, not against it. The lesson is clear. The best way to stay warm is to prevent heat from escaping in the first place. This wisdom is more relevant now than ever. At the heart of this survival strategy was the Russian stove, a massive, ingenious structure of brick and clay. Unlike open fires, the Russian stove was a slow-release heat battery, occupying a quarter of the home's space. A fire would burn hot and fast for a few hours. Then the stove's labyrinth of channels would absorb and store the heat. Once the fire was out, the stove radiated warmth for up to 24 hours, keeping the home comfortable and stable. This leap in fuel efficiency transformed firewood from a fleeting comfort into lasting security. The stove was more than a heater. It was the home's heart, with a warm top for sleeping and healing. Children listened to stories atop its surface, and the sick found comfort in its gentle heat. The Russian stove solved multiple problems at once: warmth, safety, and family togetherness. It stands as a testament to the power of clever, integrated design. One invention, countless benefits. The Russian stove's true genius was hidden inside, a maze of smoke channels called dimochod. Instead of letting hot gases escape quickly, these winding passages forced heat to linger, transferring energy to the bricks. By the time smoke reached the chimney, most of the heat was stored in the stove's mass. This method wrung every last degree of warmth from the fuel. The design also ensured cleaner combustion, producing less smoke and fewer particulates. Soot was trapped inside, not released into the air, making the home safer and healthier. Building such a stove was a specialized craft, with each one custom-built for its house. The labyrinth balanced draft and heat capture, a masterpiece of practical engineering. Centuries of wisdom baked into every brick. The choice of materials was as crucial as the stove's design. Heavy bricks, stone and clay were used for their ability to absorb and slowly release heat. This thermal flywheel kept homes warm and stable, even as outside temperatures plunged. In a blizzard, a family with a masonry stove could ride out the storm, safe and warm, while others risked freezing. The stove's reliability was a profound source of security. One firing could last a day or more. These materials were often sourced locally, connecting the home to its landscape. The stove was a fortress against winter, built from the very earth it defended against. This wasn't just practical, it was a philosophy of harmony with nature. The materials of the harsh landscape became guardians of life inside. Human resilience, shaped in brick and clay. The firebox's design was key to the stove's efficiency. Small and enclosed, it concentrated heat and allowed for hotter, more complete combustion. Every piece of firewood was used to its fullest potential. Airflow was precisely controlled with iron doors, open for a hot burn, sealed to trap heat once the fire was out. This stopped heat from escaping up the chimney and kept cold air from sneaking in. Timing was everything. Close the dampers too soon and you risk carbon monoxide. Too late and you lose precious warmth. Mastering this was a daily ritual passed down through generations. It fostered respect for fire and fuel, a far cry from today's thermostats. Modern studies show Russian stoves can reach up to 90% efficiency. Compared to the 10% of open fireplaces, the difference is life-changing. For families with limited wood, this efficiency meant the difference between comfort and hardship. In the coldest winters, it could mean the difference between life and death. The Russian stove was more than a heater. It was the engine of the household. After the fire died, its chamber became a perfect oven for baking bread and simmering stews. The hot top was used for boiling, frying and drying clothes, herbs and fruit. In a damp climate, drying garments was a matter of health, not just comfort. The sleeping platform atop the stove was the warmest spot, reserved for the elderly and young. Its steady heat was considered therapeutic, soothing aches and speeding recovery. By combining heating, cooking, drying and healing, the stove minimized fuel use. Every bit of energy was put to work. The stove wasn't just in the house, it was the heart of the home. A model of efficiency and comfort, still relevant today. Surrounded by modern technology, it's easy to dismiss these ancient methods as relics. But the principles behind the Russian stove and insulated homes are more relevant than ever. Conserving energy, not just producing more, is the foundation of sustainable design. The wisdom of thermal mass and passive solar design is being rediscovered by today's architects. Our ancestors worked with nature, not against it, a lesson we're relearning. Their ingenuity came from necessity, creating elegant solutions with limited means. True innovation often comes from constraint. These stories remind us that efficiency and adaptation are timeless virtues. By learning from the past, we can build a more sustainable future. Our ancestors' survival wasn't luck. It was intelligence and design. They built thick, insulating walls and mastered passive solar gain. Their homes were heating systems, not just shelters. The Russian stove, with its dense structure and intricate channels, captured and stored heat for hours. It was a multifunctional hub heater, oven, dryer, and healer. These principles, thermal mass, insulation, efficiency, are timeless. They teach us that resilience comes from working with our environment. The legacy of these winter survival hacks is a call to build smarter, more sustainable lives. The story of human ingenuity is written in stone, brick, and clay. The past still holds secrets for our future.